Hello, I'm Christopher Walker. Today we're looking at the Cambridge English Advanced exam and the listening paper. So the total time for the paper is about 40 minutes, and you're given 5 minutes at the end to copy your answers onto the answer sheet. So during the first 40 minutes, when you're working in a hurry, you'll just write the answers on the question paper and then make sure when you transfer them that you transfer them correctly. Don't put, for example, question 5's answer in question 6's space, that sort of thing. There are 4 parts of the listening, and they cover all the different listening skills. That's listening for detail, listening for gist, listening for opinion, listening for attitude, that sort of thing. There are 30 questions in total, and the first part is multiple choice. And the multiple choice, you have 3 short extracts. They could be conversations or monologues. And for each of the extracts you have 2 questions that you need to answer, and they're multiple choice with 3 options for each. So they test your listening for identifying how the speaker feels, what their attitude is, what their opinion is towards things, and looking at the purpose and the reason for communicating with other people. Also, you'll have to listen for the agreement between speakers. So you're often asked, in what way do they have the same opinion? You also need to listen for gist, and that's the overall meaning of something, as well as specific detail. So there's a lot that you need to keep an eye on. So let's have a look at the first listening. To do the tasks in this presentation, you'll need to follow the directions in the description for the video below. There's the PDF with the questions on, and also a series of MP3s that you can download through the Cambridge website, so you can do the listening tasks. Okay, so have a listen. So here we have the answers. So for 1 we want A, and that's talking about how useful the environmental rating system is. B, to improve their image in society, and that's it. Okay, so now I'd like you to listen again. And this time, now that you know the answers, I want you to see how we get the answers. So do that now, listen again, and then we'll have a look together. So 1A, the first speaker says this. I'm not sure that would have much impact on my choice. And the second one says, if I was torn between 2 courses, the new rating could decide it. So here we can see a disagreement. And for B, we want to improve their image in society, and they talk about how many companies just want to appear softer in the public eye. Okay, in part 2 we have what we call sentence completion. So here you listen to an interview or a monologue, and there are a number of spaces in sentences that are given to you. You have to listen and write the information in each sentence. So you do have a bit of time before the task begins, about 30 or 40 seconds, and in that time look through the questions and ask yourself, what kind of information do I need for each of these spaces? Do I need, for instance, a noun, an adjective, the name of a place? If it's something specific, you can start to use your real world knowledge to try and get the answer, but also think about the grammar you need. If the noun that you know is going to come is going to be in the plural or singular. And certainly don't rephrase the answer. The questions themselves are rephrased. You won't hear word for word what is written here in the question, but what you need to write is verbatim. It's exactly what you hear. And really it is possible. I keep telling people this, and they never believe me because they think it's, you know, it's almost like a trick, but you can use your real world knowledge to figure out, if not the answer, at least something close to it. Okay, so here we'll try the listening. Make sure you have the right listening for this. And here we have the answers. Where you see something in brackets, this means that it was optional. You didn't have to write it. So for example, in number 13, you can either have written surfboard as 2 words, surfboard as 1 word, or surfboard as a hyphenated single word. It doesn't matter. Okay, now we come to part 3, and this is the multiple choice task, similar to part 1. but this time you hear an extended interview or discussion between people. So it's really worth reading through just the questions very quickly before the start. Each question has 4 options to go with it. You won't have time to read all of those, but if you have the questions in mind and maybe underline the key words for the question, then when you're listening you'll be able to track where you are in the listening very easily. When you're listening, always think about what the next question is going to be as well as the question you're listening for. For example, if you're listening to number 15, try and get the information for number 15, just have a glance at number 16 so you know what to listen for that. And if you miss the answer for 15, at least you know, because it will be talking about something else now. You often need to work on being able to infer information. And this is when the speakers will talk around the subject and not directly about it. You have to kind of draw the information out that way. And a lot of the time you'll need to be looking at the agreement or disagreement between what people say. You know, do the 2 people say the same thing? So you have to hold a lot of information in your head at the same time as you listen. So let's try first listening. I'll give you the answers after this first listening, and you're going to listen again so that you can find the justification for the answers. Okay, so here are the answers. Okay, so let's listen again and we can find where we get the answers from. And here we go. So for 15 we want this, and here is the thing that we hear them say to give the justification. Okay, here we go. Okay, so as you can see in the last couple of questions, you need to be looking at agreement or disagreement between the people who are speaking. Okay, and that brings us to part 4, which is the multiple matching exercise. Part 4 is almost like 2 parts. You have 2 tasks to do, and each one presents 5 questions. But you only have 1 listening, and you listen to this twice. So it's quite a complicated task. So you listen to a number of people talking about something. For example, you listen to a series of people talking about changing their jobs, and you have to match the speakers with some text given in the questions. You're given 8 options, so there are 3 things here that will be designed to distract you. So listen to information related to the topic. If you hear something that's exactly the same, it's probably a distraction. It's there to confuse you or to lead you away from the right answer, basically. So we'll try this task. You can pause here, listen, and try to match. They're different sides of the same thing. Task 1 will ask you about one area, task 2 will tell you about another. And these are usually 2 distinct things. So look out for the way that the speaker stresses their ideas and the way that they pause to switch from one topic to another. Okay, here are the answers, so check how you did. And then I'd like, if you pause the video here, you can copy the answers. And now I'd like you to listen once more so that you can find the answers. There's a little bit too much here for us to go through together. So what I'd like for you to do is, if you have a look at the PDF document that has the listening task, you'll find that after the listening task you have the script. Now you can follow this through and find the reasoning for each of the answers that way. And it's very useful to do this with any practice that you do for listening. It's always good to know where the answers have come from so that you can find them better next time. So, a quick conclusion then, to have a look at some of the ideas we've covered today. Now, you don't have very much time to prepare for each part of the listening, so use that time wisely. And if you get the chance, try to think of some different ways of saying the same thing that you see in the questions. the questions will almost never include the same words that you get in the listening, but they will find ways of rephrasing things, so it's useful to listen out for that. Never be too confident. If you think you've got the right answer, do still listen and check the second time around, because if you were wrong, you need to change it, because it could have an impact on some of the other answers that you have. And this should be obvious, but really be very careful with your spelling, and especially when you copy your answers from the question paper into the answer sheet.